Hello again, Earth scientists, and welcome to the second video lesson in our Sedimentary Geology series. In this video, we will be learning the basics about clastic sedimentary textures and what they tell us about the rocks we are studying and how they formed. Imagine, if you will, that you're on a hike and you find the coolest rock. I'm sure this happens to you all the time. Now, imagine that this awesome rock is made up of bits and pieces of other rocks. You can immediately tell that it's a clastic sedimentary rock because you always pay attention in science class, and you know that that means it formed somewhere on the surface of the Earth. You also know that sedimentary rocks hold clues about the environment that they formed in. So you wonder to yourself, where was this rock born? When was it born? And what can it tell me about the environment those millions of years ago? To answer your question, you're going to need to look at the sedimentary texture of the rock. The texture is the size, shape, and sorting of the clasts or particles inside the rock. Sediment is formed when bits and pieces of rock break off from larger rocks and are transported by erosion away from the source rock. The closer the bit of sediment is to the source rock, the larger it is. And as it travels further away from the source, it continues to break into smaller and smaller pieces. If the clasts inside a sedimentary rock are just so tiny that you might need a hand lens or a microscope to see it, well, that means that it formed super far away from the mountain that it originally came from. This makes sense because think about where you find boulders and where you find sand. Beaches tend to be far away from mountains, and large boulders tend to be very nearby. The grains inside a sedimentary rock have different shapes, too. Some of these particles can be sharp and angular, while some rocks are made of rounder particles. Just like with size, let's think about what happens to a bit of rock during weathering and erosion. As a stone is carried away by gravity or water from the source rock, it tumbles and rolls around, which dulls any sharp point. So the closer to the source material or mountain that a sedimentary rock forms, the sharper and more angular those clasts will be. The last thing we can look at in texture is how well sorted the grains are. Sorting is how we talk about how similar or different the sizes of the grains in a sedimentary rock are. This is a big clue in helping us to understand what kind of erosion brought the sediment to the place where the rock formed. Gravity and glaciers transport sediment of all sizes, while rivers and wind carry only certain sizes of sediment and deposit others. Generally, the better the sorting of the grains, the smaller the grains are. And poorly sorted grains usually contain all sizes and are from near the source of the sediment. So let's get back to that awesome rock you found on your hike. The grains are generally small, but there's a few bigger ones too. They're all rounded, and this tells us that the rock probably formed far away from the source material and was carried there by water. In our next video, we'll be learning about what we would call this kind of rock with this kind of texture. See you then.